Okay, I am Staci Sadler, author of the book Aura Personalities, and today we're going to talk about the aura personality layer that some people have that is called amethyst crystal. So that's the color of the light that could surround a person. People have usually between 5 and 6 layers of light around them. Someone who has amethyst crystal as a layer of light, that would have really, when I tell about these traits, they would have these traits as very dominant, which would mean that that layer of light was really close to their body. Amethyst crystal, I actually had a couple of names for them, but in the book I called them the angel, and they are. But another name for them that I often think of when I think of them is the peace giver. So something that I wrote in the book is about amethyst crystal is that they are very innocent and wise at the same time. They do not tend to judge others for their poor choices, but they have a difficult time understanding why we do anything with ill intent. Okay, that doesn't mean that amethyst crystals never hurt other people, but it's never their intention. Their temptations reside at the soul level, and their battles are primarily internal. So what I said about them being the peace giver is amethyst crystals are interesting because they actually really enjoy people, but meaning they have just a love and an ease inside of themselves about people, but they don't always have a high engagement level with other people, and this can change depending on what other layers they have. But when I speak about each of the aura personality layers, I'm just talking about it almost as if it was isolated and they had no other layers. Okay, so consider that always, and recognize that you have 5 to 6 layers, and so you may or may not have this as a layer, but it's important to understand the other people in our lives, right? So thinking of them as peace giver, I have often found that just being around someone who has amethyst crystal as one of their main layers, that you will just feel a sense of peace around them and a calmness, and they just bring that with them. It's like one of their gifts is just to kind of bring everything down into a more peaceable range and remind us that we have the ability to live in peace at our core. So violence, destruction, arguing, getting really upset, being very reactive, those kinds of traits are just not part of their makeup, and all of those things can be very upsetting for them. But the way that they operate when they're upset is that they tend to more withdraw. It's a really key trait of an amethyst crystal, is for them to withdraw when there's conflict or when there is chaos. They'll go into themselves, and they will get back to what they are, which is peaceable and peace-giving. So it's just a really important trait to remember about them, and also that it's upsetting to them to be around a lot of discord. Sometimes when I think of the label of the angel for them, it's thinking of them as an angel on earth, meaning an amethyst crystal is unobtrusive. So you won't tend to feel bombarded by them, and most people are usually pretty happy when they have an amethyst crystal in their life because they're pretty non-demanding for the most part.